Okay, and now we go to share screen. Where am I? Hello. All right. So our goal for today, but it's just a goal, is to do the second half of chapter 5 and chapter 6, which is 14 psukim. So chapter 5, which we started last time, is the longest chapter in the book. And we saw it started with a continuation of the sort of doomsday prophecies that we had seen earlier, of the ones beginning with Shimu, right here. And also, we noted that it was called a kina by the text itself in verse 1, right? A dirge. And let's see, we had some pretty negative prophecies, right? 1,000 people go down to 100. You can see here just like pretty bad things. And destruction. And once again, as always, the destruction is because you have oppressed the poor. Excuse me. Um, And because you have done so, then everywhere there will be this misped, right? We left off talking about the Nashim Mekonanot, right? The professional wailers who in ancient times would come to these funerals and sort of do the performative aspect of the mourning. Yeah, so that is what we have basically ending that first section, right? Doomsday, bad things. Now we transition. This ends those. And now we move to just a next chunk of the hoys. So verse 18 starts hoy. And I guess there's a question if is this supposed to be something that the narrator is directing directly towards the people, or kind of seen as talking to himself and everyone else is listening? So that was one thing I thought was interesting. Hang on, I just want to, I forgot to do something. Okay. Um, so we turn now to 18. Hoy hamit avim et yom Hashem, lama zelachem yom Hashem, hu choshech velo or. Ah, you who wish for the day of God. Why should you want the day of God? It shall be darkness, not light. Now I like this because there's this, as things are getting worse, there's a narrative for the people. Well, we're waiting for Yom Hashem, right? The day of God. The day of God is going to come and save us all. And now Amos is flipping that on its head and saying, you're waiting for the day of God to save you. You are bad. You should not want the day of God to be coming, because it's going to mean bad things for you. And continues it with 19. Ka'asher yanus ish mipnei ha'ari ufega'o hadov uva habayit v'samach yado al hakir uneshacho hanachash. So the day is going to be darkness, not light, and it's going to be as if someone were to run from a lion and get attacked by a bear. Or upon making it indoors, you're to lean your hand on the wall and get bitten by a snake. Right? So you're running from a lion and you think you're safe, but nope. Instead, a bear's going to attack you. Or you're going to get home and you're going to breathe a sigh of relief and you're going to put, your hand on the wall but you're going to get bitten by a snake. Right?
I have and not or. So if you make it home, you get the serpent as well.
Okay, so interesting. That's very interesting. Does everyone what other folks have? And or?
Yeah, I have and as well.
And okay, yeah, I mean I feel like here that certainly is the obvious translation, because the Hebrew is uva, right? And um yeah, I mean it is interesting to think about. Maybe it's just a practical thing. You get bitten by a bear, they didn't really see you making it home. Still, I don't know. I don't know how many survivors there are of bear attacks.
More than from lion attacks.
Yeah. I have no idea. Okay, great. So yes, you think you're going to have that moment of respite, but nope. Halo choshech yom Hashem velo or ve'afel velo nogalo. So surely the day of God shall be not light, but darkness. Blackest night without a glimmer. Does anyone have different translations other than this?
Just even very dark with no brightness in it. The same idea.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay. So it's really just, I think this is just about contrast, right? You think the day of Hashem is going to be great. It's going to be awful, right? Running, safety, nope. Darkness, light. All right. Now God Amos continues. Saneti ma'asti chagechem velo ariach be'atzrotechem. So this is a powerful, short but very powerful line. I loathe, I spurn your festivals. I am not appeased by your solemn assemblies, right? So this is once again, this is a common theme in Amos that your religious gestures do not appeal to me. I don't care about them. Ki im ta'alu li olot uminchotechem lo ertzeh v'shelem mirechem lo abit. If you offer me burnt offerings or your grain offerings, I will not accept them. I will pay no heed to your gifts of fatlings. Anyone have different translations for this? Do you have when or if?
If
If.
If.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, yep, same idea. God doesn't want your offerings. I'm very curious to hear how you have 23 translated. Haser me'alai hamon shirecha v'zimrat nevalecha lo eshma. Spare me the sound of your hymns and let me not hear the music of your lutes. So, do we have a different translation other than spare me?
take away from me the din of your songs.
Yeah, that's the literal, right? Last year is to remove.
Remove from before me the multitude of your songs, and the music of your lutes I will not hear.
Excuse me. Yeah. I don't know why here, the way he said spare me. I don't know. Okay, and you're right, so lutes. So Nevalecha, hopefully Aya can help us out. Aya, what does a nevel be in Hebrew? Just like it's an instrument, right? Or a navel? Nevel, yeah. Okay, well, if you want to chime in, you can. But yes, a nevel is it's a musical instrument, right? I guess a lute. I will confess I don't really know what a lute is, but it's also a play on words because naval, nevel is the musical instrument, but a naval is there's never a great English translation, but it's someone who's really just like a misery of a human being, just a bad for society, just like all around bad person, right? A Naval Bir Shuta Torah is someone who acts badly, but technically in a way that is halachically permitted. If anyone's heard that concept before, that's like what the Ramban says about Kedoshim Tihiyu, you should be holy. But yeah, so it's a play on words here to say the music of your lutes, I don't want to hear, but it also is calling them, saying, you're also a naval. You guys, you're also bad guys.
A lute is like a very small guitar, but it's kind of like a gourd with an extended neck shape rather than a guitar.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so a naval, it's kind of just like I don't know. One day I'll have a good translation, like a loser, a no good. Anyway, it's not who you want your child to bring home to introduce you. What?
I was going to say it's a string instrument.
Right.
It's
yeah.
With ugav, which is a harp.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. So we have that play on words, and now we have verse 24. Vayigal kamayim mishpat utzdaka kenachal etan. Let justice well up like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. Right? So we may recognize this from Martin Luther King Jr., right? Who quoted this verse. He used, there was a different, what the justice rolled down, isn't it? Rolled down.
Be revealed.
Yeah.
Rather let justice be revealed like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Oh, revealed? I thought it was gal like waves.
Mine is also revealed.
Revealed.
Me too.
Yeah, gal is like wave.
What?
And I said gal is a wave.
Right.
Right. So why do they have it here as reveal? I mean,
I
like
don't-
alot is to reveal, but why?
It's
That's
justice is moving like a wave up and down.
right. But my point is, a gal is a wave, and legalot is to reveal. So I don't know why their translations translated as vayigal as to reveal. My guy says vayizrom, like it'll flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Um,
think Martin Luther King used to say, didn't he say something like, let justice roll down like water,
that's what I thought. That's what comes to
and
mind.
righteousness like a mighty stream? I think that's
Right.
what he said, something like that.
Sounds better.
Yes, it certainly sounds better. I mean, Eitan is strong. I don't know why unfailing here. You know, um,
Yeah, Nahal Eitan is, I mean, the word Eitan, or the name Eitan, appears in different places in the Bible, and it's really a sign of strength.
right.
So it's not the antonym of strength. It's basically strength.
Yeah, so why unfeeling? I don't know. It's not as poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, tragically, we have seen, as we were discussing, multiple examples of in the past week or 10 days of what it really means to see something well up like water, right? The power, the just, just the way it can rush in and just decimate anything in its wake. So I think that reminds us of the power of this image. Anyway, does anyone have any interesting footnotes? I don't know if anyone's would point out the Martin Luther King reference. It's interesting. I listen, to Shiurim also. They definitely pointed that out. But I don't know if your books do. Okay. I should know, I didn't realize my guy in one of his footnotes does point out the ambiguous nature of Vaigal, that it could come from Legalot or like or wave. So there's
Yeah.
what to base it on. I just don't know why they would
We have
choose
a
that.
comment. We have a comment that others equate it with gulot, pools,
Mm,
pool of water.
okay.
And they have a citation from Joshua and from Judges.
Mm, okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Hazvachim umincha higashtem li bamidbar arba'im shana beit Yisrael. Did you offer sacrifice and oblation to me those 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? Um, let's just do the next one also. Unasatem et sukkot malkechem ve'et kiyun samechem kochav Elohechem asher asitem lachem. And you shall carry off your king, Sikut and Kiyun, the images you have made for yourselves of your astral deity. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, what do you talk to me about? What you have? Do you have footnotes that kind of try to make sense of this? I'll just read.
He calls them pagan deities, and Dathmikra identifies it with the god Sukkoth mentioned in 2 Kings, and it's found in cuneiform inscriptions as Sakut. And Chion is known in Arabic as Kaiwan, meaning the planet Saturn, etc.
Okay.
Just a couple, just before there, the last, also on verse 25.
Yes, please.
Did you bring sacrifices and meal offerings to me for 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? And it says the footnote is the Israelites were not required to bring personal offerings during their 40 years in the wilderness, except for Pesach offerings.
Right. It's this rhetorical, like you think it's all about the korbanot, right?
Right. And then it says this shows that God desires righteousness and justice more than offerings, and that's from Rashi.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. I didn't want this all 40 years and you still made it out, right? I don't need this. And so then right. So it seems so as you could see here, the JPS footnote says this verse and the next would read well after 6:14. In other words, that 26 and 27 really belong at the end of chapter 6, not at the end of chapter 5. Right. And let me just read 27 so we can look at it together. Damascus, excuse me, Amar Hashem Elokei Tzvakot Shmo. As I drive you into exile beyond Damascus, said God, whose name is God of hosts. I think certainly, I don't know. It seems a little bit odd, obviously. Does anyone have anything any comments? Do they also say it belongs elsewhere?
Just that these Chiun and Kokar.
Okay, great.
That these were the names of idols.
Okay, great. Okay, so look, okay, we could talk about whether it belongs elsewhere, but clearly the point, once again, is God saying, I want action. I don't want these korbanot, right? I don't need baseless sacrifices. And it ends with another reminder of the impending day of doom and destruction and exile, etc., etc. Yeah. Anyone want to share anything else before we move to chapter 6? Okay. Okie doke. So now we go to chapter 6.
There was a comment
about, go ahead.
About the exile in Damascus.
Yes.
You will not be exiled to your neighbors as before when you were handed over to the kings of Aram and Edom. So they didn't take the captivity was going to take place in a distant place.
Okay, great. Okay.
To make it worse, I guess.
Make it worse for sure. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have another hoy, right? These new ones of this like oi, basically. Hoy hasha'ananim betzion vehabotchim behar shomron nekuvei reshit hagoyim uva'u lahem beit Israel. You who are at ease in Zion and confident in the hill of Samaria, you notables of the leading nation on whom the house of Israel pin their hopes. Yeah. Okay. Let's just go to the next one. Ivru chalne ureu ulechu misham chamat rabba urdu gam plishtim hatovim min hamamlachot ha'ela im rav gvulam migvulchem. Cross over to Kalne and see. Go from there to Great Hamat and go down to Gat of the Philistines. Are you better than those kingdoms, or is their territory larger than yours? All right, so he's taking the leaders and saying, go look at the other nations. Now, for Hamat, do you also have it translated as a place?
Yeah.
Okay.
From there to Great Hamat. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And descend to Goth of the Philistines. Are they better than these kingdoms?
Okay.
Is their border greater than your border?
Okay, beautiful. Okay, great.
Was Samaria the capital of Israel?
Like interchangeable naming.
Okay, because I had my note, I was puzzled by that.
Yeah. It often is referring to that, to someone. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Haminadim leyom ra v'tagishun shevet chamas. Yet you ward off the thought of a day of woe and convene a session of lawlessness. All right. Do you also have translations, yet you ward off? Here you can see the JPS says meaning of verse uncertain. I'm curious what you have for minadim.
Bring yourself closer.
To the day of evil. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You who bring yourselves closer to the day of evil, and you bring near the dwelling amidst violence.
Okay, what line are we on here?
3.
Line 3.
I think in Hebrew it could be that the shoresh is from neda, which is again oscillating towards a bad day.
Okay, right. So there is definitely the question of that, because also the reason some people say you're like distanced is also because nidui can come from the word expulsion, right? That's there. All the theories about where the word nida comes from, right? For menstrual stuff, right? So is it expulsion? Is it all these different things? So I guess yet you ward off is meaning like you push it away, right? I guess is where JPS gets that translation from, which is why I'm just struck that some people have the translation of dafka, you bring it close.
And this is for verse 3 in chapter 6. I've bracketed woe to you who spurn the day of evil while you convene sessions of injustice.
Yeah, that I think to me seems like what the pasuk is trying to say. Right? You're not thinking about
it's injustice.
You're engaging in the very thing that's going to bring it.
It seems to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right, I wonder what's going on with these other translations. Curious. Okay.
It says it's like a construction with you bring yourself near to dwell in the exile of Esav, your brother, in Obadiah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Hashochvim amitot shen usruchim al arsotam ve'ochlim karim mitzon ve'agalim mitoch marbek. They lie on ivory beds, right? Mitot shen. Shen is, tooth, literally. Lolling on their couches, feasting on the lambs from the flock and on calves from the stalls. So I did hear a point that there have been discovered ancient bed frames, bedposts, whatever, with ivory sort of embedded in them as a decoration. So ivory beds were a sign of indulgence and wealth, et cetera, right? So this, when Amos is saying this, it's really saying you engage in the riches and the indulgences. Okay. Jump in if you have anything. Haportim al pi hanavel kedavid chashvu lahem kli shir. They hum snatches of songs to the tune of the lute, right? We see the navel again. They account themselves musicians like David. So I like this that they kedavid, right? You're playing the music. You're playing music, right? Like a David we associate as being emblematic of that, and you think you're as good as he is, but clearly the implication is you are not. We can talk about the content if anyone has any comments. Also, I thought it was interesting to point out that here David is spelled with a yud. If you see the word David, right, the name David is usually spelled Dalid, Vav, Dalid without the yud. And so the word dod is also going to be in our chapter a couple times in the context of to mean friend. And so, the theory is essentially just that the author put the yud in there just to make clear when we're talking about a dod and when we're talking about David.
Isn't a dod more like a lover?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like an intimate friend. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, so yes, but I like this image that you think you're David, but you clearly are not. Then this is also interesting in 6. Hashotim b'mizrakei yain ureshit shmanim yimshachu velo nechlu al shever Yosef. So they drink straight from the wine bowls. Now mizrakei yain, you would think it would say they drink directly from the wine goblet or cup, right? Kos, but it says mizrakei, right? So what those were big, I guess, jugs that they would use in the temple service to collect the blood, and then lizrok, right? Part of some of the korbanot call for sprinkling blood, right? So the vessel to use to hold the blood that they would then use to sprinkle as a cleansing mechanism were called the mizrakim. Right. And so here, it's not just that they're drinking tons of wine. It's that they're drinking tons of wine out of the vessels that were intended to be used to serve God. And same idea with Reshit Shemanim Yimshachu, they're anointing themselves with the choicest oils. Those are the oils that are supposed to be used in the temple service, but instead they're using it to anoint themselves. And they're not worried about the ruin of Yosef, right? Essentially themselves, right? Because Ephraim is Yosef's son, and Ephraim is like the strongest Shevet in the north. So yes. I know we've done a few kind of quickly. Any comments or anything? Anyone want to share anything?
They're treating themselves like objects of worship.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like that. Great. Okay, lachein atagi glu berosh golim. Excuse me, besar mirzach suruchim. So you hear there's the alliteration, or lachen, therefore now, yiglu berosh golim, they shall head the column of exiles. What a great way to try to ruin the Hebrew here by making it so obscure. And they shall loll no more at festive meals. Does someone have what translations do you have for this? Please tell me so you've got something better. Yiglu berosh golim.
Behold, thus did he show me, behold, the Lord standing on a plumbed wall with a plumb line in his hand.
That's 7?
7?
Plumb, something that should measure how straight something is, or so how deep something is.
That you have that for 7?
Yeah, thus
I've got the banquet of the haughty shall pass away, which is very different from yours, Janet.
What?
We're on. Okay,
I've got.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong.
Wrong one. Oh, okay.
All right.
So my 7 is therefore now they shall go into exile at the head of the exiles, and the banquet of the haughty shall pass away.
Great.
Yes, I have that too. I was looking in the wrong chapter.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that more simplistic language, right? Because the purpose of the verse in Hebrew clearly is it's trying to simplify the idea, right? And so I think JPS doesn't do us any favors by using this more obscure language, right? Yiglu berosh hagolim. They're going to be at the front of the line for the exiles, right? Vesar mirzach suchim. They're not gonna enjoy this anymore, right? It's done. It's a very
certain irony there when there's like, hey, go to the head of the line, right? The line for destruction.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, right. And also berosh golim, right? It's also, it feels to me also appealing to this idea of, they want to be at the top and all this stuff, and right, the only top you're going to be at. Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, Serach is also the end of the line usually. So like Serach Haodef, and so you used to be at the front of the line because you wanted more of the good stuff, so to say, and now that you're being basically dragged along And
I know that. That's great. Thank you. I didn't know that means that. All right, terrific. Nishba Hashem Elokim benafsho neum Hashem Elokei tzvakot mitaev anochi et geon Yaakov ve'armenotav saneti ve'hisgarti ir umloa. So the sovereign God wholeheartedly swears, I loathe the pride of Jacob, and I detest his fortresses. I will declare forfeit city and inhabitants alike, declares the Eternal, the God of hosts. Ooh. Just want to see something. Right, the fortress, Geon Yaakov, the pride of. Did you have anything different other than the pride of Jacob?
The same.
The same. Okay. I mean, it's referring to Israel, right? Because we're
the glory of Jacob.
Yeah.
According to Rashi, I think it means the temple in Jerusalem.
Okay.
Geon Yaakov is the genius of Jacob. That's me. That's something.
Okay. 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 The haya im yivatru asara anashim bevayit echad vametu. If 10 people are left in one house, they shall die. Yeah.
That's like, you know, when you think back to when Abraham was pleading with God, if there are even 10 righteous men, will you save the city?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and here it's 10 men remain in one house, but they're going to die. You know, it's
right. My guy points out the implication being that, you know, during a time of destruction, the righteous have all managed to run, right, and convene in one place. God's not going to save them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay, unesa'o dodo, right? Dod here. Sarfo lehotzi atzamim min habayit ve'amar le'asher beyarketei habayit ha'od imach ve'amar afes ve'amar has ki lo lehaskir b'shem Hashem. Okay, a lot going on here. And if someone's kinsman, right, dodo, as opposed to David, as we said, who is to burn incense for one of the deceased, comes to carry the remains out of the house, and he calls to the one at the rear of the house, are there any alive besides you? The answer will be no, none, and he will say, hush, so that no one may utter God's name. All right, a lot going on there. Does anyone have any different translations or comments?
Where yours says, say hush, mine says, and he shall say, take them out. For not mentioning the name of the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. I just also have to say that this I mentioned last time I went to the Nova exhibit that was at Gallery Place, you know, about the Nova massacre, and they have a lot of videos from the aftermath, and one of them was like an IDF soldier, I guess. You don't see him because it's, you know, their go camera, you know, walking through and just saying, like, is anyone alive? Is anyone alive? And just, you know, seeing the piles of dead bodies and uncovering more, and just, you know, I mean, he's still Israeli, and so he's not weeping or something like that, but just this idea of like, oh my God, it's not like, please let someone be alive. So I just feel that when I look at this, say no one else is there, right? Okay, I know, baby. My cat Ralph is getting antsy. Ki hinei Hashem mitzaveh v'hika habayit hagadol resisim v'habayit hakaton bekiim. For God will command, and the great house shall be smashed to bits, and the little house to splinters. Right? Doesn't matter the size. Hayirutzun baseles usim im yacharosh bav karim ki hafachtem lerosh mishpat ufrit tzedakah lela'ana. Can horses gallop on a rock? Can it be plowed with oxen? Yet you have turned justice into poison weed and the fruit of righteousness to wormwood. Right? You accomplished what nature cannot, which is to transform something so good into something so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going just a little bit faster just to get through the last two before our time is up. But if anyone, if you have comments along the way, please jump in. Asmichim lelo davar haomrim halo bechazkenu lakachnu lanu karnaim. Those who are so happy about lo davar, who exult by our might, we have captured karnaim. Now, lo davar is the name of a place. I was wondering if anyone has it translated not as lo davar as a place, as you can see the JPS did.
For a thing of naught.
Okay, you do. Okay, I was curious. All right.
Rejoice over nothingness.
Okay, so they didn't translate it as the place. Very interesting. So you rejoice over nothingness. But do they have Karnaim translated as a place?
No, horns.
No.
Oh, horn. Oh, very interesting.
I'll behold with our strength. We get power for ourselves.
We have taken horns for ourselves.
Right. With our strength, we've taken horns for ourselves. See if there's a comment on that.
Yeah, very interesting. I didn't, my guy also agrees with that, but the person I listened to gave the translation according to JPS. So that's very interesting. Yeah. Right. These were, as the footnote points out, these were two towns east of the Jordan recovered for Israel by Yeravam, right? Yeravam II, who was the king while Amos is prophesying. So to say lo davar and karnaim is to ignore the double meaning of them, but to also acknowledge that these are towns whose name the Israelites, the people who are listening to this would have been very familiar with, right? Or do you just ignore the connection of the names and just talk about the meaning?
Probably both.
Yeah, my guy doesn't make any mention of the names of them being names of towns. I don't see. Well, actually, no, he does in the footnotes, right?
In the footnotes, even about using strength and might to gore the poor and the needy with the horns. Just as a wild ox gores with his horns, so do they say they make themselves horns to gore the nations.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. All right. So we've got the gamut here. All right. Our last pasuk. Ki hineni mekim alechem Beit Yisrael neum Hashem Elkei Tzvakot goy levelachatzu etchem milvo chamat ad nachal ha'arava. But I, O house of Israel, will raise up a nation against you, declares the Eternal, the God of hosts, who will harass you from Levo Chamat to the Wadi Arava. Harass you? Lachatzu is like to pressure you.
I've got to oppress.
Yeah.
They will distress you.
Interesting. Distress. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't love harass because the pressure of lachatzu, I think, is important to preserve that as part of the word. Yeah. Which is, it's interesting because it's, this isn't as explicitly horrific as some of the prophecies of doom that we've seen in our time together, but also the fact that, God, Hineni mekim alechem goy, to me sounds very scary, right? God is not just that a nation is coming. God is like raising this nation up to come after you. And velachatzu is a scary word. It's vague, but it is scary, right? Pressure, you can't escape pressure. There's nowhere to run. You're being squeezed. So to me, it's quite ominous as an end.
I think there's a big difference between harass and distress. Because harass is something that somebody does to you, but distress is something that you feel and as a reaction to something that's being done to you. You become distressed. You don't become harassed. Somebody else harasses you and you become distressed.
I have oppressed, though, Janet, which is seems to be closer to the putting pressure on.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
Right.
that does make more sense.
Yeah. Than harass.
Yeah, certainly. I
think it's just a poor English translation.
Yes,
Right.
I know. I don't understand though. JPS, I don't understand why they do this over and over again. They seem to give us sometimes such poor translations, and I would love to know more about the process they used. Yeah, to do this. I don't know. Okay, we have 3 more chapters and 2 more weeks before I'm gonna head to Chicago with my family. So I will look at it and see if there's a way we can perhaps squeeze 2 chapters into 3 other way around. 3 chapters into 2. We won't if it doesn't work, but we will if it does. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the class.
I hope everyone